So people come to me and ask me, Dave, what are you playing? And I tell them, right now, I'm playing They Bleed Pixels. This game, well, it is what it says on the tin. It's very gory, and it's also has a nice little pixel art style going for it that I am that it has a certain panache to it, albeit I feel like pixel art is, I don't know, it's used a lot nowadays. Let's admit it, it's used a lot. And, so yeah, you know, but as for what this game is, well, normally it's, running at a much smoother frame rate than it is right now. I have no idea why it's doing that. It actually runs a nice smooth 60, so I mean, 30's fine. That's what 30's what I record at, just mostly out of mostly just because it's easier, but mostly just because of my editing software seems to kind of freak out a little bit at 60, but whatever. But anyway, how about we just dive right into a game? No, I don't want to continue from a checkpoint. Yeah, this is I've been playing this game I've been playing this game a lot recently, and it's a pretty interesting little platformer, but it's also one of the most infuriating platformers out there, as this stage's best time of nearly an hour can maybe attest. And there's some... and as fun as this game can be, the fact is that there's issues like that that just make me want to scream. So that's it. In spite of that, though, how about we just dive right into this game? So I'm gonna go ahead and get a good gist of the story here. That's our little heroine right there. Little girl, just little schoolgirl in a very strange, disturbing school that happens to be filled with haunted relics of some sort. Who knows why or how, but she ends up finding cursed book. Ends up reading cursed book, and it grants her disturbing powers beyond all imagination. Because you know, this is what you do with cursed artifacts. You take their power into their own, and then you wish that you've never touched them. And then you try to get rid of them futilely. But anyway, all that aside, let's just dive into the game. It's a very basic platformer, to say this much. So obviously you have your double jumps, you can stab to attack. You have only one button for attacks, though, and that's that can be good and bad, since it kind of lets you... I mean, it lets you do some very fancy things here. I mean, like, you could just... you only need to, like, push forward and for a dash, and just up to juggle, down stab, forward to stab. It's nice. Hold to kick enemies to the sky, but at the same time, though, it can sometimes be difficult when in the middle of a crazy fight to actually get exactly what you're looking for. So let me just go ahead and kick through here, and yep. I mean, this first stage is very tutorialized, even though they have a very thorough tutorial, and they're gonna force me to drop a checkpoint here. This is one nice thing I do give the game, is that it has a nice, very clever checkpointing system. Is that it lets you place your checkpoints wherever, but if you don't place a checkpoint, then you happen to get a nice little score multiplier going that like doubles your points, and which makes it which is almost a necessity for getting like A ranks and S ranks. So like you really have to try your damnedest to make sure to get those going. If you really want to get an S rank, you really have to kind of hold out for checkpoints as long as possible. Ooh, yeah. But yeah, it's an interesting game, but the problem, and it seems to not be afraid to take lessons from Super Meat Boy in certain ways. I mean, when you die, as long as they don't randomly decide to completely obliterate your corpse, it actually shows you where you die. So not it doesn't give you a replay, because, you know, these stages can... I mean, I'm pretty sure the intended length of these stages is like 3 minutes, not an hour, but it has a lot of things going for it. I mean, the combat's pretty smooth. It's outside of, you know, complaints about maybe not always being able to put in the right button inputs, and it feels like when I'm rubbing up against someone and I want to stab them, instead I kick them forward, and kicks don't do any damage, they just knock back, which is interesting in its own right. I'm probably a little too fond of launchers, though. I mean, I have my reasons, though. Get the hell away from me, you stupid bomb. But yeah, but that said, though, like I said, it feels like it took some lessons from Super Meat Boy, but it also kind of took the wrong ones. I mean, the whole showing where you died is cool and all, but that's not really something that made me love Super Meat Boy. That was just a cool little thing. I mean, as much as I love seeing those replays, that was icing on the cake after a tough level. Here, it's like, I don't even get that icing because they expect the stages to be long and they don't want me to sit through hour-long replays. But it's like, at the same time, though, well, I'm sure I'll get to show a little bit of it here. Ooh. I'm definitely going to have to throw up a checkpoint there to restore my health. But it's like there's areas here that really should not be. As you see, they have these ice surfaces on certain places, and they serve two main purposes. Number one is to make sure that you can't wall climb on them, so... Number two is to make it impossible to move and fight. That is a lesson that Super Meat Boy knew right from the start. You'd never take control away from the player if you want, in a platformer, if you want to call your controls like super sharp, super precise. And that's one thing that they did, and that Super Meat Boy never did. It never took controls away from you. Its controls and the platforming controls for that game were just on the money 24/7. Here it's like you run into one of these ice platform, and there's some instances where you'll run into these a lot. Right away, it just takes you out of it because you just don't know how the hell you're supposed to get anywhere. I'm actually kind of surprised that I'm making it through this one completely deathless. That's a really nice benefit for me, although it looks like I might have to throw up a checkpoint again. Yeah, so much for that juicy bonus multiplier. I do like how they contextualize the points as blood, though, as like, oh, this is like how many pints of blood you've collected. I mean, the game really does play up its aesthetic very much. I mean, like, at the beginning of every stage, they throw in quotes from famous poets, mostly Edgar Allan Poe and H.P. Lovecraft. Okay, Lovecraft wasn't a poet, but you get what I'm saying here. And, you know, but at the same time, though, it's like I have to wonder... It's a good game. It's a solid game. It knows what it wants to be, and it tries very hard at that. And it does a lot to try to relieve the frustration. But when a stage takes an hour, it doesn't matter how fancy your checkpoint system is, I'm gonna be frustrated. And there's no way around it. There's nothing you can do to alleviate the frustration of working an hour to complete one stage. Nothing. You can't talk me out of that. And I will be pissed off because I had to work an hour to complete one stage. And the game is not shy about telling you this. It will not subtract the time it will not tell you like the time for like between each checkpoint and total all those up. It will tell you the complete time. So it's like that hour, it will not lie about that hour. And maybe it would have been nice to have been lied to, but it's like when I know that it's like that hour, and I mean, I kind of got I get how to play this game now. I mean, the fact that I'm actually making it through this stage without a single death is actually kind of shocking to me, but it's still showing me that I know that this game isn't like... I mean, this is a hard game. It really ramps up. I'm pretty sure that Chapter 3, that the stage I'm currently on is like close to the end, I mean, if I look through the like little achievements, they actually kind of tell you. They actually kind of tell you how many stages there are. So it's like it feels like maybe I'm close to the end, but it's really just. Let me see here. Oh, this is gonna be fun. Nice job. Nice juggle there. That was a little too close there. But, I mean... Well, it feels like if it... There are things that it could be doing that it just isn't. I mean, there's no run button for one thing, so it's like... So for any attempts to... So if there's anything that actually requires, like, precise movement, like, oh, say, a stage where you ride an elevator, you're going to be sprinting all over the place, and probably sprinting into spikes or saws or something. Meanwhile, I'm not joking there, I actually had that happen, and that was not very pleasant, to say the least. I want to hold on to this checkpoint as long as I can, but I know this is a tough part. But it's like, when you have to deal with stuff like that, it's like, why? Why are you doing this to me? I don't find it fun to have to repeat. I mean, yeah, well that was mostly my fault there, but I don't find it fun when it feels like the game is actually working against me. Like, I mean, that's one. I mean, between the ice platforms, I mean, and these tall spikes that you can easily jump onto. I mean, you can walk through them, but if you double jump and then try to land in the same spot, you'll impale yourself on the spikes, and that's not fun. And you know, I will give this game a lot of slack in some departments, but that is not going to be. This isn't the fact that you can so easily that the game thinks that it's a good idea to actually take away some control it's ludicrous. Why are you doing this? Well, that's definitely my best score for this stage by far. And yet I still get a B on it. Yeah. If I hadn't died that one time. Oh well. What does it take to get an A? Seriously. Yeah, the game certainly plays up its story very well, and you know, I think it's a fun game in some aspects, but there's so much that needs to be toned down. I mean, why are you making me go... I mean, I don't care. I mean, if there are certain areas that just... I don't feel like they actually even play tested. It's like, where, like, their jumps are so super precise. I mean, they make Super Meat Boy look tame at times. And, you know, I'm gonna actually show you... I'm not gonna do another whole stage, so I'll definitely show you what I mean with respect to, you know, just fighting on ice on certain areas. This is not that area. Let me see. Exit title. I think it's like the next area here. It's like right at the beginning. It's like right at the beginning. They force you to actually fight on the ice, and it's like one of the most painful things possible. You don't get your dash. It's hard as hell to time kicks. It's like, this is not something that, if Super Meat Boy were to add combat, this is not something it would do at all. I mean, it's like the constant sliding and all there's the constant sliding. You have to like perfectly time your attacks, and it's like you actively lose abilities trying to fight on this ice, and it's like, and they do this a lot later on, and this is like, and they throw this at you a lot. This is not like a one-time thing. This is like, this becomes like bog standard here, and it's like the slightest attacks will knock you like around like a rag doll on this ice. So it's like, it's just ugh. And some of the enemies too are a bit dickish. I've only shown like the basic guys, but eventually they start throwing in like little ninjas and flying guys and ghosts that come at you, and these ghosts that are probably that are like booze on steroids, I think, are the best way to describe them. So there we go. But it's like sometimes I just wonder what went into the developer's head with this. I mean, there's definitely not things. I mean, there's definitely things here that I would never ever wish upon my users if I was to make a game, and I probably will one day. I'm planning on it. And yeah, that's all I really need to show you. But it's a good game, but damn, it feels like if they were inspired by Super Meat Boy in certain aspects, and it definitely does. They didn't take all the lessons that Super Meat Boy took. I mean, I mean, if you actually go and read like the Team Meat developer blog from like way back when they were actually making this game, they had some clever things going. But you know, it's a good game and it's all right, and the combat's fun, and it does a lot with keeping it so simple. But at the same time, it feels like that they could have done more to alleviate some aggravation. I really should not ever have to go and take an hour out of my day to complete one stage in a video game. I shouldn't. I mean, at the very least, I mean, again, fall back to Super Meat Boy here. They at least kept all the stages, the length of all the stages. The most time you should be taking with any of the stages there is a minute. That's like the capper. They keep the stages, just micro stages, and the game's better for it. But you know what? This is still fun in its own right. It's still a challenging platformer, and if you happen to need one, this game should be right up your alley. Although it's available right now on Steam. Like opening week sale is for $8, so but it goes up to 10 later on. So it's not bad. Just little rough around the edges. It definitely felt like they could have done more with it. But yeah, I'm Dave. Let's actually, before we do anything though, I really want to look at some of the extras here, because they actually have like the art gallery is actually kind of fun. I mean there's unlockable bonus art from like various guest artists, and unlockable bonus levels as well. But yeah, they bleed ponycorns. That just gives you a kind of an idea of what kind of silly bonus levels they have going here. Yeah, ponies. But yeah, it's an alright game, and I happen to like it. It just feels like they could have done more with it. But yeah, I'll just that's what I've been playing though. I'm Dave. Take care, everybody.